It began like any other Valentine's Day in Rosewood, a small town nestled at the edge of a dark forest. The town was filled with the usual sights and smells of the season. People bustled about, preparing for romantic dinners, exchanging gifts, and sending sweet notes to their loved ones. Among these busy couples and hopeful singles, Emma stood at the window of her cozy apartment, looking out over the snow-covered streets. It was a tradition of hers to avoid the Valentine's Day rush, preferring the quiet company of her books and a cup of tea. But that day was different. As Emma made her way to the door, she found something unexpected. On the doorstep, tucked neatly under a red ribbon, was an envelope. It was sealed with a wax stamp, strange as no one had visited her. She wasn't expecting any mail, especially not on this particular day. The letter was addressed in delicate handwriting. To my dearest Emma, a love that will never fade. Her curiosity piqued. Emma brought the envelope inside and set it down on the coffee table. She stared at the elegant script, feeling an odd mix of excitement and dread. She didn't know anyone who would send her a love letter, at least not like this. Her heart raced, her fingers trembling as she broke the seal. Inside was a piece of thick, cream-colored parchment, folded carefully. She opened it to reveal a message that was as simple as it was unsettling. I have loved you for years, and I will love you beyond death. Don't be afraid. I'll always be with you, my love. I'll be closer than you know. Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. The words were loving, yes, but they carried an undertone that made her skin crawl. She reread the note, but no signature. No hint of who could have written it. That night, as Emma tried to go to sleep, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The air in her room felt thick, suffocating, as though she were being watched. Every time she closed her eyes, her mind flashed with images of the letter, the strange words, the ink that almost seemed to shimmer in the dim light. She turned over in bed, trying to ignore the growing sense of dread. That's when she heard it. A soft, almost imperceptible knock on the window. Emma froze, her heart pounding. She lived on the second floor. No one could reach her window from the street. Her breath caught in her throat, and she slowly sat up, her eyes wide with terror. Another knock, this time louder, more urgent. Trembling, Emma stood from the bed, moving toward the window. She hesitated for a moment, unsure of what she would see. But as she pulled the curtain back, her heart nearly stopped. A shadow stood outside, staring back at her through the glass. A tall figure, its features obscured by the dark of the night. The shadow moved, almost as if it were beckoning her. But there was no one there when Emma quickly pulled away. Frantic, she grabbed her phone to call someone, anyone. But as her fingers hovered over the screen, a message popped up. It was from an unknown number. Don't worry, Emma. I'm already here, waiting for you. Her pulse raced as she stared at the words. Was it some sick joke? Or had she truly been watched? She couldn't tell. But deep down, something told her that the letter wasn't just a prank. It was the beginning of something much darker. As the days passed, Emma tried to convince herself that it was just her imagination. But the following morning, the letters continued. Each one more chilling than the last. Each one signed with a name she didn't recognize. The words grew darker with every note. I know your deepest fears. Soon you will understand what I mean. The love I offer is eternal. But can you bear it? It wasn't just Emma who was affected. The entire town of Rosewood soon fell victim to the mysterious letters. A man named Jack, who had lived in the town his entire life, received a letter addressed to his wife. It read, "Your love is mine now. I've taken what I need." Days later, Jack's wife was found dead in their home, her body eerily posed, as if waiting for someone to notice. And across her chest, a single red rose was placed, its petals blackened and shriveled. The town grew fearful. No one knew where the letters came from or who had sent them. But one thing was clear, their sender was not done. The local sheriff, Henry, had received a letter too, but his was the most cryptic of all. The curse has only begun. All of you will soon be mine. Keep your eyes open, Sheriff. You won't see me until it's too late. And then Sheriff Henry disappeared. Emma, now desperate to uncover the truth, began investigating the source of the letters. She pored over old town records, desperate to find anything that could explain the strange occurrences. It wasn't long before she came across a name that seemed to haunt the town's past. In 1924, a woman named Evelyn Blackwell had disappeared from Rosewood, leaving behind only a letter. The letter was written in the same elegant script as the ones Emma had been receiving. But unlike the others, Evelyn's letter was a final plea for help. It read, "They took me. They made me write the letter. They want you all. The curse is real. You cannot escape it. It's coming for you too, Emma." Emma felt her blood run cold. It seemed impossible, but the letter had been dated over 100 years ago. How could this curse have survived for so long? And why had Evelyn mentioned her? As Emma pieced together the terrifying puzzle, she realized that the person behind the letters was not just a stranger, but something much darker, a force that had been waiting for the right moment to strike. The curse had been passed down through generations, each new sender becoming a part of the twisted, eternal cycle. With no time to spare, Emma went to the town's old cemetery, where she believed the answers lay. There, amidst the overgrown tombstones, she discovered a hidden grave, a grave with no name. It was only marked with a red rose, its petals blackened and shriveled, the same as the rose found on Jack's wife's chest. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet began to shake. The air turned cold, and a shadowy figure appeared before her, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. It was Evelyn Blackwell. Or rather, what was left of her. "You shouldn't have come here, Emma," the figure whispered, her voice hollow and distant. "The curse is mine to control. You were always meant to be the next in line." With a final scream, Emma was consumed by darkness. The curse had claimed her. The love letters had finished their work. And as the last of the letters were delivered to the remaining townspeople, they too began to fall under the same curse. Rosewood would never be the same. The true horror of Valentine's Day had come to pass. And now, as the town's lone survivor, the cycle would continue. The love letters would find new victims, and the curse would never end.